الحسن والثناء الجميل وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له يقول الحق وهو يهدي السبيل وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين لهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين أما بعد. In today, inshallah ta'ala session, we're going to be talking about the manhaj Salafiyyah and its reality, inshallah ta'ala. We hear this word a lot, Salafi, Salafi, this, Salafi, that. So what does it mean and what is its reality? I ask Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala that He gives us the strength to articulate this topic and be able, inshallah ta'ala, to bring it to you in its correct form. إِنَّهُ وَلِيُّ ذَلِكَ وَالْقَادِرُ عَلَيْهِ. The way that I will be doing it is in a few points, inshallah ta'ala. The first point, inshallah ta'ala, is, without going through any introduction, because the time is very short and the topic is very big, so I'm going to go through it point by point, inshallah ta'ala. The first point is going to be, what is the meaning of as-Salafiyyah? ما معنى السلفية? What does Salafiyyah mean? Okay, what does the word? So the first point, inshallah ta'ala, is ما معنى السلفية? What is Salafiyyah? What is its reality? The word, it comes from this root word, Sin, the letter Sin, and Lam, and Fa. It comes from this root, Sa, La, Fa. Sin, Lam, and Fa. Those three letters, right? And in the Arabic language, that word had a usage. It existed before. That word, Sin, Lam, Fa. It was used before Islam came, because this is an Arabic word. The Arabs were using the word. And what it meant is that which has come before. Yani anything that came before. That's what it was referring to. It was showing على تقدم. يعني في اللغة, in the Arabic language, it meant تقدم وسبق. على تقدم وسبق. What does that mean? It means coming before. That's what it meant in the Arabic language. Nothing more to it. Okay? That's what you're going to find in the Arabic language. And that's what Allah tabarak wa ta'ala used also in the Quran. Allah used that word in the Quran, but He used it according to the linguistic usage, the lexical usage. Yani the Arabic lexical usage. So what did I say it means in the Arabic language? Coming before. Okay, and what was the Arabic word I used? Ala taqaddumin wa sabqin. And Allah used it subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Zukhruf, ayah 56. Allah used it in Surah Zukhruf, ayah 56. Allah says, فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ سَلَفًا وَمَثَلًا لِلْآخِرِينَ. Allah says, فَجَعَلْنَاهُمْ, we made them salafan. We made them a predecessor. We made them those who came before them. Okay? That's what Allah tabarak wa ta'ala said. Also Allah tabarak wa ta'ala, He mentions in another verse, in Surah An-Nisa, ayah 23, Allah says, وَأَن تَجْمَعُوا بَيْنَ الْأُخْتَيْنِ إِلَّا مَا قَدْ سَلَفْ. In other words, what the ayah is saying, you're not allowed to combine between two sisters. It's haram for you to do that. What you're doing is haram. إِلَّا مَا قَدْ سَلَفْ. Unless you did it before Islam came, then you're forgiven, but now you can't do that anymore. You can't practice that anymore. So that word is, what does it mean? Came first, before. That's what it meant. That is the usage in the Arabic language. Nothing more, nothing less. Does that make sense now? Are we all on the same page of what the word means in the Arabic language? Okay, good. Are we all together? So each point we all agree, and then we move on to the next point, inshallah ta'ala. Anyone have any question for each point, inshallah ta'ala? So I finished this segment. I'm going to take questions and then we'll move on to the next segment. Anyone have any questions on this segment? Crystal clear. Good, mashallah. Now we're going to go into the word being used in the religion now. Not in the Arabic language, in the religion. And I want you to always remember this. This is a benefit you should always remember. The Quran, what language did it come in? In the Arabic language, right? So what the Quran does is it takes a word from the Arabic language because it's used in the Arabic language, but sometimes it adds extra meaning to it that's not in the original Arabic usage. Does that make sense? Like for example, the word as-salah. What did it mean before Islam came? The word as-salah. It just meant dua. It just meant dua. That's all it meant, supplicate, to beg. Are we all together? But then the religion of Islam came, took the word as-salah, and it gave it more than just a dua, supplication. It said that it is an act where you have to stand up, you have to face the qibla, you have to raise your hands, you have to put your hand this place, and wahakadha. It became more than just what? Just dua. The same is with other words in the Sharia. It's taken from the Arabic language and extra meaning is added to it. Sah? So it's important that you learn it from the Arabic usage. What was it before? And then what did the Sharia do to that word? What did it add to it? What did it subtract from it? It will benefit you a lot. So the word salaf now, in the Islamic usage, what it means is those who preceded you. Fine. That's still the Arabic word. It's still according to the Arabic language. It is those who preceded you in time. Okay? And virtue. They preceded you what? They came before you in time. Meaning their time was before your time. Second thing is, they came before you in virtue. They're more virtuous than you. And the reason why we have to restrict it to virtue is because Abu Jahl and Abu Lahab came before us, right? And when we say Salaf, we're not referring to them. Because they did not precede us in virtue. They're in the hellfire, right? Does that make sense? But the Arabic language, it was referring to what? It's in anything, and anyone who precedes you in it. But the Sharia is specific now. It only means virtue, piety. Those who preceded you what? In piety. Is everybody with me? So anyone who precedes us in time is not enough. Who are the people that we refer to as the Salaf? When we say these people are the Salaf, we mean the three noble generation, the three golden generation. So we're restricting the virtue hatta to what? To those three generation. Who are they? The students of the companions, the Sahaba, radiyallahu ta'ala anhum. And their students. Who were the students of the Sahabas? The Tabi'un, mashallah. And who were the students of the Tabi'un? Atba'u Tabi'un. Those three generation are what we're referring to when we say the Salafus Salih, the pious predecessors. We are connecting ourselves to those three generations. Are we all together? The religion that was there in those three generations is what we take our religion. And anything that's outside of those three generations, we disregard it and dismiss it. Now, of course, there's more details to that. We're going to break it down as we go along. Now, somebody has the right to ask and say, okay, those three generations, where's your evidence to restrict the virtue to them? Why can't you make it 400? Why can't you make it 500? Why are you specifically choosing these three generations? When we say generation, we mean roughly the first 300. The reason is because two evidences. There are two evidences that set us to understand that these are the ones that we're referring to. The first one is in the Quran. The first one is what? The Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم يرحمك الله والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار. So Allah mentions those who preceded you. والسابقون. السابق is the person who came before you. And who are those who preceded us? Allah is saying من المهاجرين and Ansar. Muhajirin and Ansar are two of the companions. Muhajirin are the people who came from what? Mecca to Medina. And Ansar are what? The people of Medina. And then look what Allah says, وَالَّذِينَ تَبَعُوهُم. And those who followed them in what? بِإِحْسَانٍ. After that, look what Allah says after that. رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمْ وَرَضُوا عَنْهُ. Allah is telling us that He is pleased with the Muhajirin. Okay. And Ansar, Allah is pleased with the Ansar. وَالَّذِينَ اتَّبَعُوهُم. And those are the ones who followed them. You can only be of one of those camps. So anyone here who's from the Ansar, put your hand up. No. Anyone here from the Muhajirin? No. And hopefully we wish to be from the third third group, which is what? Those that follow them. So you choose which one do you want to be. They definitely can't be from the Muhajirin and Ansar. That's gone. The opportunity is gone. So you're only left with the third option. If you become the third, which is to follow the Muhajirin and the Ansar, what are you going to receive? Radiyallahu anhum. Allah is going to be pleased with you. Allah is going to what? He's going to be pleased with you. Now, us being pleased with Allah, that's good. But Allah to be pleased with us, Allahu Akbar. That's even greater. Sah?
Allah is talking about two groups, not three groups.
He mentioned three groups.
No, Ansar and Muhajir is the same time. So
okay, you want to make them one? Yeah. Okay, make them one then. But they're not the same.
Then you talk about Salafi three groups. Then here it is two groups.
We haven't gone to the hadith here. We're going to break down the hadith. The reason why we separated the Muhajirin and Ansar is because the Muhajirin and the Ansar are what?
The same time, same groups.
They take the title of being companions, but who's more virtuous? What's the evidence that they're more virtuous? Remember, you can't just claim anything in these classes unless you give me evidence. What's the evidence that the Muhajirin, the people migrated from Mecca, are better than the people of Medina, Ansar? What's the evidence? What's the proof?
The hardship they went through.
Who went through hardship?
The Muhajirin.
They did, no doubt. So did the people of Medina.
They were the first to believe.
Who were the first to believe?
The Muhajirin.
The Muhajirin were the first to believe. That's true. But does that mean every Muhajir took Islam before the... What about those who embraced Islam after the conquest of Medina? After the conquest of Mecca?
Prophet said about the virtue, like leaders should be from the Muhajirin.
Huh?
Leaders should be from the Quraysh and the Muhajirin.
MashaAllah. The Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, that the leaders should be from Quraysh. No doubt about that. Which kind of alludes to their virtue. The evidence to show their virtue, brothers, is what?
So in the Quran, Allah mentioned Muhajir first.
Allahu Akbar, there you go. The verse itself is the evidence. Everywhere in the Quran, Allah always mentions the Muhajirin first. Ansar always comes second. That's one. The second thing is, the 10 promised Jannah alive in the one hadith. Who are they all from?
They were all Muhajirin.
All of them are Muhajirin. That doesn't mean that there were no other companions that were promised Jannah alive from the Ansar. Of course there were. But the 10 that were one time named by the Messenger in one sit, where he mentioned all 10 of them, which we now call the what? Ashar al-Mubashirina bil Jannah, the 10 promised Jannah. If you look at every one of them, they were what? And who is from the Muhajirin? The Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam himself. Are we all together? That doesn't put down the status of the Ansar. Allahu Akbar. Ansar have a big place in Islam. But the Quran always puts the Muhajirin first. That's why we separated them from each other. Are we all together? But together they are what? They are the companions of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They're the Sahaba to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now this ayah, how many groups did he mention? If we break it down, it's 3, and if we make the companions into 1, it becomes 2 groups. Sah? Now there's a hadith that's going to explain it even more. And this is something you need to do all the time. If an ayah mentions a statement, or an ayah mentions something, the Prophet will come and he will explain that verse for us and give us more understanding to it. The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said in a hadith. Okay, by the way, the ayah that I read, it's in Surah At-Tawbah, ayah 100. Are we all together? Surah At-Tawbah, ayah 100. والسابقون الأولون من المهاجرين والأنصار والذين اتبعوهم بإحسان رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه. These are all from what? They are the Muhajirin and Ansar and those who follow them in good. Then the Messenger came in a hadith in Sahihain, Bukhari and Muslim, من حديث عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله تعالى عنه. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, what did he say? He said, I heard the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam say, خير الناس قرني, the best of my people, the best of this ummah is who? خير الناس قرني, my generation. ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. So the Prophet mentioned 3. خير الناس قرني, the best of people is what? My generation. That would be him and who? His Sahaba. That's 1. ثم الذين يلونهم, and those who come after, and they are the what? Tabi'in. And then the messenger then said ثم الذين يلونهم, and then he mentioned أتباع التابعين. Are we all together? The khairiyyah, the good, is in this 3 generation now. Are we all together? If you look at the bulk of Islamic disagreement, discord, arguments, back and forth, groups and sects, they came out, the majority of them, after the 3 generation. Are we all together? There's 3 golden generation. When they were alive, the disputes were less than after that. Now I'm not saying there were no disputes and disagreements within that time, there was. But the bulk of disagreement that you're seeing today, they came about after what? After those 3 generations. Now please pay attention here. There's vital information that you understand. Do you all understand what we mean by the word as-salaf technically? According to the Sharia, what does the word salaf mean? Huh? Those who preceded us in time and who are those ones who preceded us in times and virtue? The Sahaba and Tabi'in. Tabi'in. Now I ask you guys a simple question. On what I just said right now, are those people a group? The people who say, I want to follow those 3 golden generation. I want to stick to the religion that was practiced in those 3 generations. I don't want to go right or left. I want to stick to that. I take my religion from whatever's referenced from those 3 generations. Is this called a sect? Are they a group? They're not a sect. They are the pure Islam. And I want you to remember this. This is something that people always misunderstand. It becomes a problem. The messenger was there, alayhi salatu wasalam, he died. Salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. And then who took over? His companions. They passed away. They were practicing the religion pure as the Prophet left it. Abu Bakr was practicing it the same. Umar was practicing it the same. Uthman was practicing it the same. Ali was practicing it the same. Radiyallahu anhum ajma'een. May Allah be pleased with each and every one of them. And then the Tabi'een came and they passed to them. It was so clean and so pure. But guess what happened? In that time, people were going against the companions and they were going against the Tabi'een, and they were also going against the Atba'u Tabi'een. Are we all together? This is important. Those people are the ones who are what? They are the ones who are creating misguidance. They are the ones who are causing disarray. They are the ones who should be told, come back. Are we all together? Are we all together? But this is important. The person who's upon what Nabi Muhammad was upon, and Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali, and they carried on, and then it came to the A'immatul Huda wa Masabihud Duja. After that, the Tabi'in into after the Tabi'in passed away. سفيان بن عيينة إذا قيل من في العلم سبعة أبحر روايتهم ليست عن العلم خارجة فقلهم عبيد الله عروة قاسم سعيد أبي بكر سليمان خارجة. فقهاء السبعة, they passed away, they passed on to the أتباع التابعين, like Abdullah ibn Mubarak and Muhammad ibn Shihab al-Zuhri and Al-Imam Malik rahimahullah and Al-Imam al-Awza'i, Imam Ahl al-Sham and Al-Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah and Al-Imam Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal and Yahya ibn Ma'in and Abu Ubaid Qasim al-Salam and Yahya ibn Ma'in, Ali ibn al-Madini and Al-Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim and Abi Zur'at al-Razi and Abu Hatim al-Razi and Al-Imam al-Nasa'i and Al-Imam Abu Dawud rahimahullah and then Al-Imam al-Nasa'i and then Ibn Majah rahimahullah. And that legacy carried on. They didn't change it. Are we all together, brothers? And a group of people just came and they stuck to that. They didn't change. They don't look left or right. They stuck to that path. They're still alive. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from them. Those people, it's not fair to say bad things about them. And to say that they are deviated or they are causing disarray amongst the ummah and they are causing confusion, etc. Are we all together, brothers? Yes. They're not. They're keeping the religion clean and pure. And we're going to learn that more inshallah ta'ala. Is everybody with me here? Yes. That is simply what Salafi is. Who wants to be a Salafi? Put your hand up then. Based on what you just learned today. We all want to be. So you don't have to go to somebody, brothers, and say, I'm going to give you bay'ah. I'm going to follow you, you be the leader. There's no one you have to do. There's no masjid you have to register yourself. Just follow the three golden generation, and guess what? Wherever in the world you're from, whatever background that you are, whatever culture you have, whatever household you grew up in, guess what? You're a Salafi, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala what? Make us from them. This term, Salaf, that's what it meant, right? It meant the three golden generation, right? Then a ya was added to the end to say what? So the Sahabas never needed to say that because everybody knew they were the most honorable and most virtuous of people, right? They didn't need to say. Everybody knew the Sahabas were honorable. And then the Tabi'een didn't need to say that because they were what? Because they were stated in the hadith. And the Atba'u Tabi'een didn't have to. But then guess what? After that, deviated groups came, and then the people who were following the three generations had to say to the people, we're not upon what you guys are upon. We're sticking to this. So then they said that we are called what? Salafi, meaning I attribute myself to. I connect myself to. Not a person. Because all the other groups, when you look at them, they are named after people. Jahmiyyah are named after Jahm ibn Safwan. Asha'irah are named after Abil Hasan al-Ash'ari. Are we all together? They're either named after a person, okay, or they are named after an ideology, a view that they held, which was deviated. So they got named after that. Such as the name Al-Qadariyah, because they went deviated in the issue related to Qadar, okay, they were called Al-Qadariyah. The Mu'tazila, like Wasil ibn Ata, he was in the class of Al-Hasan al-Basri, and he deviated. And Hasan al-Basri looked at him and he said, "I'tazil anna, leave us." And then the whole group became called what? Al-Mu'tazila. Are we all together, brothers? So this is, now I'm trying to break it down and make it simple for everybody to comprehend and understand. Salafiyyah this is what it means. Are we all together, brothers? There are other names that are synonymous, meaning they're the same. You can call it Salafi if you want, and there are other names that they have as well. From their name is what? Ahlul Hadith. Ahlul Hadith and the Salafis are the same. The name is the same. Also, Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah is the same. Are we all together? Ahlul Athar. So Athari is the same as Salafi. All of these are what? Synonymous. Are we all together, brothers?
Wahhabi also like that.
Ooh. Good question, good question. No, all sorts of questions are open, inshallah ta'ala. May Allah bless you. Good question. Wahhabiyah, may Allah bless you, is a derogative term. What does that mean? It means a group of people connected this to a great scholar that came out from Saudi Arabia. He came out from Saudi Arabia, and inshallah ta'ala we're going to shed some light on who he is and why they called the people who follow his teachings and what he taught Wahhabis. But his name was known as what? Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. So they said you guys are called Wahhabis. But there's nobody who will accept that name, and nobody likes that name, and nobody agrees to that name. Is anybody Wahhabi here? It's from the names of Allah, so nobody would accept it. But you're right, it's a good question, very good question. A lot of people, they make Wahhabiyah similar to what? Salafis. What we do is, when somebody comes, we look at what they teach. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab has books, he's written. So we look at his works. If Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab goes against Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, he's going to be considered from the deviated people, just like everybody else was, or the other people were considered to be deviated. Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab will be pushed aside. This, I told you, this road, this clean legacy, does not tolerate compromising. Anyone who goes against it, whatever name or title they have, it doesn't matter, they'll go to the side. So Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab's works, when it was looked at and it was checked, it was in line with what those great Imams, what the Prophet was preaching, is exactly the same. It's like, okay. And that's why it was embraced and it was taken. Does that make sense? So now we've understood what Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, Salafiyyah, Al-Athariyah, all of that, what it means. Are we all together? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was one day with his companions, and he said to them, my ummah is going to become divided. Are we all together? Meaning, this is all Muslims. They're not disbelievers. Where these are groups which are all what? Muslims. The Prophet said, my ummah, the Muslims, are going to be divided into 73 groups. How many groups? 73, the Prophet said. He said, سَتَفْتَرِقُ أُمَّتِي عَلَى 73 فِرْقَةٍ. 73 groups. كُلُّهَا فِي النَّارِ. All of them are in the hellfire. إِلَّا وَاحِدَ, except one. There's only one group that's going to make it out. There's only one group. The Sahabas, they came forward and they said, Man hiya ya Rasulullah? Who is this one group that's going to make it? Now pay attention to the Sahabas. This is great knowledge, by the way. For them to say who's going to make it, not who's not going to make it. They asked what? They asked who's going to make it. They just want to be from that. The Prophet didn't say the people who are going to make it, they have to look like this, or they have to be from this part of the world. He didn't say that. He gave a description. And I'm sure every person can be part of that. It's so easy for you to be part of it. And if you come with it, guess what? Inshallah, you're going to be from that what? That saved group. What did the Prophet say? مَنْ كَانَ عَلَى مِثْلِ مَا أَنَا عَلَيْهِ الْيَوْمَ وَأَصْحَابِي. Anyone who is upon that which I and my companions are upon, if you're upon it, you're going to be from those people. Are we all together? Anybody who is upon what I and my companions are upon, you're going to be from the saved group. That's it. You just have to follow who? The Prophet and his companions. Because the tabi'een, they follow the Prophet and the companions. And the atba'u tabi'een, they follow the what? The Prophet and the companions. وَلِذَلِكَ if you summarize Salafiyyah into just following Allah and His Messenger and the companions, because everybody else is following the companions, you are from the saved group. What are you from? From saved group. If you don't follow the companions and the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, you're going to be in what? The other 72. You're going to be from the what? How many groups did he say? 73. If you subtract 1 from 73, how many are you left with? The other 72 are in hellfire. And the only one that's going to go to Jannah is what? The ones who follow the Prophet. What's their name? That's it. Salafiyyah, Ahlul Sunnah, Al-Firqatul Najiyah, Al-Ta'ifatul Mansura. That's what's gonna.
If anyone is from the 72 and they recite the kalma, and they will be also in the hellfire, even they, it's not in that group, but he's a Muslim, he's speaking those La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
So what did we take yesterday? That Muslims can go to the what? The hellfire. Muslims can go to the hellfire. Sah? If a Muslim drinks khamar, what's going to happen to him? If a Muslim cheats and steals somebody's wealth, where's he going to go to? The hellfire. So if you become from the 72 groups, you're going to be what? From the hellfire, but you're still a Muslim. So meaning you're not going to stay in hellfire forever. Because you're Muslim. At the end of the day, you're going to come out one day. But who can take Jahannam for even one split second? May Allah not make us from there. Brothers, when I first heard about Salafiyyah, I listened. One of the people who I learnt it from, I listened to, and really, wallahi, I was impacted. I loved it. The way he explained it to me and I heard it was Al-Allama Muhammad Nasiruddin Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala. I loved Sheikh Albani. I used to listen to his tapes. Sheikh Albani has a tape, 800 tapes. It's called Silsila Huda wa Noor. I listen to each and every single one of them. And in there's discussions and dialogues and people coming to him, and Sheikh had a lot of debates with different people and he had different discussions. Sometimes his students would ask him questions and you just feel. So one of the discussions he had was on this issue of Salafiyyah and the simplicity of it. To be upon the Quran, the Sunnah. And to understand the Quran and the Sunnah in the way that the companions understood it. I'll give you guys a on point. Because if you get the Quran and you look at it and you read it and you look at the hadith and you read it and you say, I'm going to look at these two in my own understanding, you're going to come with deviation. You have to say this verse. What did the 3 golden generations say about this verse? I want to know what Abu Bakr said about this verse. And Umar and Uthman and Ibn Abbas and Ibn Mas'ud and Ibn Umar. I want to know what they say about this verse. What did the Tabi'een say about this verse? What did the Atba'u Tabi'een say about this verse? Then you're going to not only come with the Quran and the Sunnah, but you're going to come out with good understanding of the verse. Are we all together, brothers? For example, a deviated group who hate the Sahabas. They hate the what? They hate the Sahabas. And the anti-Sahaba, right? They read the Quran. Imagine, they read the Quran you're reading. And from there they saw a verse where Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرًا in Surah Al-Baqarah. Allah commands you to slaughter a what? A cow. This deviated group, what did they say? That the Baqarah in this verse Allah is talking about is the wife of the Prophet ﷺ, Aisha radiallahu anha. Are we all together? And they said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُكُمْ أَن تَذْبَحُوا بَقَرًا. This is what it means. Now the question here is, who said that before? Where did you get that from? You can't just look at the Quran and take your preconceived notion. You believe something and then you force the Quran to take that meaning. Are we all together, brothers? That's what happened when people just tried to read the Quran the way that they wanted to. They had a belief, they have an idea, they have concept in their heads, and they look for verses in the Quran to what? to support it. Are we all together? So how can you end that issue? How can you close that door? You say, we don't want your understanding. Keep your understanding to yourself. You say to me, AbdulRahman, Jazakallahu khairan, I know you read an ayah, and I know you read a hadith. We don't want your understanding. I will say, okay, you're right, it's true. My understanding is insignificant. Who said it from the 3 golden generation? Are we all together? We won't take Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab's words and his understanding on a verse if he hasn't brought it from the 3 golden generation. We're not going to take Albani's view on a matter if he hasn't taken it from the 3 noble generation. We're taking no one's opinion unless they reference it back to what? Are we all together, brothers? Yes. This sets the road separate for so many things. Is that simple, brothers? Does it make sense to you? Be honest. And if it doesn't make sense to you, you're more than happy to, I'm more than happy, inshallah ta'ala, to answer your question. You can put your hand up and we can, inshallah ta'ala, answer your question. Because it's important for you to understand this.
Sheikh, in the Quran we find that Allah Ta'ala named us Muslim. And we're trying to name ourselves Salafi, Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Why is there? And
Pause there, let's do that one, inshallah. Let's take question by question. Good one. Let's take that one first. Very good question. Allah did call us in the Quran what? Muslims. But all of these groups that we mentioned, the Ash'ara, the Sufiyyah, inshallah, all these groups, they are what? Muslims, inshallah. As long as they don't come with something that nullifies Islam, they are what? They are Muslims. When I ask you, what are you? What are you going to say? I'm a Muslim. Now, that's which Muslim are you? If you think to yourself that nobody wants to know more than that, then you're not living in the real world. The reality is, every single person falls within Islam in some way. Are we all together, brothers? Is that true or not? Everybody does. And to say that I'm just Muslim is floating. If you then say to me, no, I'm a Muslim who follows the Quran and the Sunnah, I'll be like, good, okay. And how do you understand the Quran and the Sunnah? You're like, I understand it the way the Sahabas and the Tabi'in and Atba'u Tabi'in said it. I will just say to you, I'm just saying exactly what you're saying, but I'm saying it faster than you. You're saying I'm a Muslim who follows the Quran and the Sunnah on the understanding of the Sahabas. I just say I'm Salafi. Who's faster? I didn't say you have to. I didn't say you need to. I'm not saying that you must. If you don't want to call yourself, you don't have to. No one said that you have to. It's not a must.
We are talking about the manhaj of the Salafi. We should have talking about the manhaj of Muslim Islam. That should be the standard of Islam, isn't it?
Again, I mentioned something very important to you. When you say the manhaj of Islam, all of the groups that came before, they're still Muslims. Are you with me? So are we going to also take their misunderstanding, their deviation, and their corrupted opinions? Are we also going to add it into what? Into the understanding of the religion? Or should we say, no. We want to stick to this. I used to live in London. For the last 5 years I've lived in the UAE. Right in front of me in London, there was a church. Just right in front of me, there was a church. So on Sundays I used to see the people coming to the church. So on every Sundays they come in large numbers. And I would see in that church songs, dancing. I wouldn't see any worship. According to them, there's nothing. They're dancing, they're singing, they're playing. So I asked myself, an entire religion has become dancing and singing. Nothing else. How is that possible? The way that happened was, when someone came and changed their religion, they didn't say, hey, stop. don't change our religion. We don't want you to tamper with our religion. They let him do it. He changed 5%. Another one came, he added another 5% to it. 10% now. Another one came and he changed another 5%, 15%. And as time went, the Christianity, the religion became something different. Do you understand? Islam, great Imams didn't allow that to happen. قَيْدَ أَنْمُلَةٍ, even a little bit, they didn't let anyone change the religion. They'll say, stop, what are you doing? That's not part of our religion, leave it. Leave it as it is. That's why we have today the Prophet ﷺ, the way he lived, the way he is, because a group of people chose not to change the religion. Or else, our religion will be something different to the time of the Messenger ﷺ. Are we all together? Yes. And these people, we have to respect them. Are we all together, brothers? Yes. And the term Salafi, or calling yourself Ahlus Sunnah, or calling yourself Athari, it's not a must. You don't have to call yourself it. I'll be honest with you, I don't go around telling people when they say to me, how are you? I'm good, mashallah. Hey, what's your religion? I don't say my religion is Salafi. I just say I'm a Muslim. And then if the person says to me, okay, but I want to know more about you, AbdulRahman, I'll just say to you, I'm Salafi. I'll make it easy for you. The reason is because the religion, as I mentioned to you, so many people came and they changed the religion and they tampered with it. So you need to tell them, I'm not with those people. I am upon the people from Nabi Muhammad who kept it clean and did not tamper with it and left it pure and clean. Even me, I'm hoping, inshallah, to be from those people. I hope. I ask Allah to keep me on that. I'm worried. I make dua. And that's why I want everybody to have their religion pure. Take it from directly the source. That's what Salafiyyah is. Does that make sense, brothers? Okay. Now, just like we mentioned before, can there be bad Muslims?
Yes.
Does that mean Islam is bad? So there can be bad Salafis. Does that make Salafiyyah wrong? So just because some people are doing bad things under the name, doesn't mean it's bad. Just like if somebody does something bad under the name of Al-Islam, it doesn't make Islam wrong. It makes you a bad person. If somebody lies and cheats, it doesn't make Islam a lying, cheating religion, does it? It doesn't, in any way, shape or form. So now we've taken the meaning of Salafiyyah, which was number one. The second thing that we did was we took names that are similar to Salafiyyah. What did we say are similar to Salafiyyah? Ahlul Sunnah, Ahlul Hadith and Ahlul Athar, Al-Ta'ifatul Mansura and Al-Firqatul Najiyah. That's also from the names. Also from their name is Al-Ghuraba. Al-Ghuraba means strangers. Sah? Strangers means what? It's just that when people see them, it's like, whoa, what world do you live in? Sah? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam's garment, just example, how short was it?
Above the ankle.
So above the ankle is a must. But I'm asking, how short was the Prophet's garment? Half his shin. So the half a shin means that your knees up to your ankles, half of that. That's the Prophet ﷺ's garment, where it used to reach. That doesn't mean everyone has to have that. Everyone has to have their garment above their ankles. It's a must for the men. It's wajib for you to have your garment above your ankles. But if you want to follow the Prophet and be like the Prophet, you make it what? Today, if you wear half your shin, and you walk around, what will happen to you? People look at you and say, strange, ghareeb. That's the word exactly they would use for you, sah? So you become from the what? From the ghuraba. You become from the what? If a person has a big beard and does not touch their beard, and they leave it the way that it is, like the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam's beard was, what will happen? Huh? Mutaba'thir. All those titles and names will be given to you. They'll look at you and say, Wallah, gharib. You become from the what? Al-Ghuraba. Then anyone who sticks to what Nabiullah Muhammad is upon, he's going to be considered to be from the what? From the Ghuraba. He's going to be from the what? Should you worry because you're from the Ghuraba? Fatuba lil Ghuraba. Glad tidings to the strangers. Don't worry. Don't feel loneliness just because you're by yourself on the path. Don't worry, inshaAllah ta'ala. Just remember how Nabiullah Muhammad was in Mecca. And his companions, they were the strangers amongst everybody else. You're going to be a stranger like that in holding on to your religion. Are we all together? So that's from their names. They're called the what? Al-Ghuraba. Is everybody with me? Now, I need to clear a misconception that some people have, which is, some people believe that Salafiyyah is to be rude to the people, to be disrespectful to the people. When you meet somebody and you're Salafi, you're angry, you're frustrated. That's not how the Messenger was, alayhi salatu wasalam. Are we all together? If you meet your Muslim brother, Salafiyyah teaches you all the ahadith that come in virtuous actions, which is to smile in the face of your brother is a what? The Salafi, when he sees people who have gone wrong, he wants to bring them to the khair. And he takes the most gentle method, very soft in how he talks to the people, with respect, with gentleness. He also is willing to listen to anyone who tells him, I need to advise you. He'll say, okay, I want to hear. What do you want to advise me? What do you want to advise me with? And if they get it right and they tell you the truth, don't be arrogant. Say, you know what, brother? Jazakallahu khairah. Because the truth is the lost property of the believer. And you should take it from wherever you find it. Somebody tells you the truth. Are you going to say, it's because it came from you, I ain't taking the truth. I'm not taking the truth. What did the poet say? لا تحقرن الرأي وهو موافق حكم الصواب إذا أتى من ناقصي فالدر وهو أعز شيء يقتنى. You take it, صح? ما حط قيمته هوان الغائص. If you lost your phone and someone took it and put it on top of a rubbish bin, or they threw it in the bin, and it's your iPhone 14 that you just bought, and somebody puts it in the bin, and you see it's in the bin, are you going to leave it? Yeah? Are you going to take it? Then why would you not take the truth from where it comes from? Sah? So somebody says, I want to advise you. The Salafi, because he wants to get closer to Allah, he knows he's imperfect. He knows he's not perfect. He wants to clean himself from any mistakes. So he wants to meet Allah, and he is at the best form he can possibly be at. So he's willing to listen. What do you want to tell me? Jazakallah khairan. Are we all together? He's going to take it. وَلِذَلِكَ The Salafi is known for the purity of his aqeedah, and is also known for his akhlaq and adab. The mannerism. Are we all together, brothers? Very gentle, kind, respectful. It's a must. So there is, sadly enough, some people who understood Salafiyyah and they take a very harsh position towards the general mass. Sah? So for example, I was in a masjid one time with a Salafi brother. And we walked into the masjid, and the masjid, they were Hanafis in madhab. They're what? Hanafi. Yani Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, the great Imam. So he entered the masjid. When he entered the masjid, the people, of course, they don't put their hands on their chest. Where do they put their hands? They put it down. And also when they do ruku' and sujood and all of that, they don't do what? And this brother, he just finished Sifr Salat al-Nabi with Shaykh al-Albani's book. He just studied it. He's pumped. He knows, he has come across the hadiths related to these issues. So when he came, I was with him. The salah finished. We said, Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah, Salaam alaikum wa rahmatullah. I don't even know when he jumped. He jumped, went at the front of the masjid, and he said, Inna alhamdulillah. I was like, what is he going to say? What is he going to say? Or he's going to get us in trouble. So what I did was I got closer to the door. Just in case anything happens. So what did he say? He said, brothers and sisters, I have come today to tell you guys about the sunnah. Hey, what's the sunnah? You guys have to raise your hands when you're doing Raf'ul Yadayn. He brought the hadiths and mashallah, he mentioned the hadiths of the kitab. They got angry. They felt offended of what he was doing. Sah? And it got physical. Now the question is, was it wise for him to do that?
No.
Was it right?
Yes.
Put your hand up if you think it was the right thing to do.
It was wise.
Was it the right thing for him to do? Put your hand up if you think, Allahu Akbar, he's telling the people the sunnah. Put your hand up, no problem. No one's going to judge you. Just tell me if you...
If you took a better approach.
Yeah, he didn't insult anybody. He went at the front and he told them.
The way what he did was wrong.
Yeah?
What he said is correct, but there is a way of approaching people.
Huh?
So the way he approached was wrong.
The way he did it was wrong.
Yes.
So that's what we're talking about. Do you think what he did was right?
What he did or how he did it.
Of course, how he did it, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about the issue of can you raise your hand or not, Raf'ul Yadayn. We're not talking about that mas'ala. Huh. Yeah? How he did it was wrong? Yeah, because it caused a greater fitna. Sah? It caused a what? A greater fitna.
Against the teachings of Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
No doubt. That's not how you deal with these issues. Do you understand, brothers? You don't deal with the issues like that. You don't hasten to... I remember I was in a masjid one time, and it was a Hanafi, tough Hanafi masjid. So I prayed, of course, I moved my finger in the salah. The man next to me grabbed my finger to stop it. He wouldn't let my finger move. So I kept it straight. Salah finished. Salam alaikum, salam alaikum. I didn't even say anything to him. I went quiet. And he said, what did you do? Why did you do that? She went quiet. He wanted to talk to me about it. I said, no problem, no problem. I just want to leave. The Muslim should not create a bigger problem and a fasad and a calamity in issues. Are we all together, brothers? If I'm going to tackle this issue, I'm going to do it with wisdom. I'm going to talk about it in another logistics, another method. But right now he wants to take, if he's physical, he's grabbing my finger, and then me to address the issue, it's going to become what? So this is the thing I advise you, brothers. As a person of the sunnah, inshallah, may Allah make us from them, is we need to, look, Shaykh Nasir rahimahullah, he said something that touched me. He said that the truth is already heavy. Don't make it heavier than it already is. The nafs doesn't want the shaitan doesn't want you to take that. It's already something people are running away from. So it's heavy when you give it to them. As Allah said in the Quran, إِنَّا سَنُلْقِي عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. It's heavy. So if it's already heavy, to make it even more heavy for the people where they say, I don't want this. It's a problem, brothers. Sah, brothers. It is. I remember one time, I was in college, and there was a brother in my class. We were sitting, we used to do classes. It's a college, non-Muslim college. It's London. So there's no Islamic studies we're doing. I'm doing business. I'm here for money. So he sees me and he says to me, AbdulRahman, we don't know each other, it's first time. I was about 18. He said, Akhi, I haven't seen you in the college before. I said, I just started this week. So he wanted to get to know me. He said, he was here last year, and there's an Islamic masjid inside the college. So anytime Salah comes in, you can pray. I said, thank you. I really appreciate that. Where is it? So we got to know each other. And as we got to know each other, he asked me, what are you? I said, I'm Muslim. He said, no, I want to know more. I said, Salafi. He goes, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. I said, why, akhi? The discussion started. He goes to me, I am Ash'ari. So he wasn't offended the fact I call myself Salafi, because I'm not attributing myself to a person. Salafi is not a name of an individual. He's proud to attribute himself to somebody who came after the 3 golden generation. He's happy to. Are we all together? So I said to him, no problem. I didn't even want to have more discussion with him personally. But he brought it up. He wants to discuss it. So it's hikmah for me to talk to him now. He wants to. So we spent every break, every single break that we had in college, we spent back and forth at each other. I would carry books to college and we would sit in the playground, we go to the corner and we would just discuss these issues and back and forth. Wallahi, the thing that I want to say to you all, it was never disrespect. It always stuck to the topic. It never got outside, physical, you shout your name. It was, why can't you see that? And I'm only 18. And the brother was maybe 21 or 22. He was either 20 or 21. Maybe even 22. And it was until the college finished that year, and Allah Mubarak, he came to us, Salafiyyah. He embraced it. Because of the discussions we kept having, I kept saying, I'm not going to take anything other than the 3 generation. I want to stick with that. So anything you say to me, the 3 generation. I know you as a Muslim, you love the 3 generation, golden generation. He said, of course I love them. Because every Muslim's going to say to I love them, right? So I say, anything you say to me, let's both agree to take it back to the 3 golden generation. He said, I'm more than happy to. Anything you say, we'll discuss it on that. So I have reference for all of the things I am saying to the Salaf, because I have kutubu al-isnad, I have the chain for everything I'm saying. He says something and he says, I don't know where the Shaykh got it from. He's now questioning the person he never used to question. So there were sessions for 10 to 15 minutes where I was watching him reference his Shaykh and saying, but where did the Shaykh get it from? I wasn't saying anything, I was just watching. And then he goes through the next quote and he himself says to him, what about this? Where did the Shaykh get it from? He's turning over the pages and he's asking, I'm just looking at him saying, because we agreed on this base. And it reached a point where he realized a high percentage of what he believed was where there was no evidence for it. Are we all together? And anything he quoted, that he said the Sahaba said, it will go through thorough grading. So we will sit down and we will look at the chain together. And we spent a whole year doing that. So what I want to say, inshallah ta'ala, is that this is all Salafiyyah is, inshallah ta'ala.
What would be the reaction of a person if he's telling, he's a Shia Muslim, he's my friend, but he's telling bad things about Salafi? How can a person react to his thoughts and he can change his thoughts? Like he's saying bad to Hazrat Umar, Hazrat Usman, bad things about them. So,
for me personally, within the Muslims, there are groups I just don't like to sit with at all. I avoid sitting with them for all. Again, there are certain people I just will never sit with. My heart cannot tolerate anyone saying anything about the Sahaba. That's a red line you just don't cross. It's a red line you don't cross. So for me personally, I want to avoid it. I want to stay away from you. And it's good for you to stay away from me, because The Sahabas is a red line you just don't cross. Abu Bakr, he's more beloved to us than our mothers and our fathers and our children. The wives of the Prophet ﷺ are more beloved to us than what? Our own mothers. Are we all together? So people who critique and criticize these golden people is different to the person who criticizes Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, who criticizes Ibn Taymiyyah. Are you with me? If you criticize Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, we can still sit down and have a conversation. If you criticize Ibn Taymiyyah, we can have a discussion. I will show you why is your analysis wrong. But the Sahabas, it's a red line that I personally think any Muslim should not sit down. And you shouldn't tolerate it. You shouldn't let your ears become used to hearing criticism of the Sahabas. Inshallah, we're going to take a break. And then we're going to resume after that, inshallah ta'ala.